with another story time today. I wanted to talk about my crazy ex-bosses in Japan. I have like such bad job luck and I don't know why. I have some crazy stories because of it and like I thought I could share them with you. So since I don't work for anyone anymore, I think it's kind of a good time in my life to share these stories with the world, and they're legitimately crazy. The first one I'm going to talk about is my kind of most recent boss. I needed to renew my visa and my boss was like, okay, I'll go with you to immigration on this day and we'll renew your visa together. Which is nice of her because like most of my other companies, they wanted me to go by myself, which is also fine. I mean, I have no problem either way. She was nice enough to offer, she would take me there in her car and we would get my visa renewed. It was summer and my birthday is in July. I was going somewhere for my birthday. Recently, Japan added a new holiday, Umi no Hi, in July, and it's like the Monday after my birthday. So there's like a 3-day holiday, like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I didn't even want my birthday off. I wanted the national holiday off that everyone has off. She got annoyed that I was and this is like in advance, like I asked her. Usually the school is closed on national holidays, but for some reason she wanted me to work. I don't really remember the details, but she wanted me to work and it was a national holiday and I was like, okay, I already have plans because it's my birthday weekend and it's a national holiday and I'm going somewhere, and she got really annoyed and she was like, I'm not gonna sponsor your visa anymore. I was like, what? If I don't have a visa, I have to leave the country. Like, you cannot stay in a foreign country without a visa. And I was working for her and I was living in Japan, and she was like, if you're gonna take that day off, I'm not gonna sponsor your visa. Bitch, what? Just for requesting a day off. She just went off. I'm not sponsoring your visa, find someone else. And I was just like, because I've been through it all at this point. If you don't want to sponsor my visa, then I can't work for you anymore because I won't have the proper visa and I'll need to leave the country. And then she took a few days. I was kind of worried about it, but I was just, if she's not gonna sponsor my visa, I'll just quickly find another job. It's not impossible. I'll just hustle a little bit. After a few days, she sent me this email. I'm sorry I blew up at you. Let's go to immigration together. I'll drive you. And she switched back to being the nice boss. And I don't know what made her change her mind. Like I had that day off and she still gave me my visa, but that is not the juiciest part of this story. So she drove me to immigration, and her driving skills, the word reckless is being too kind. She would just talk to me, but she's driving, right? So she would be like looking at me and driving and talking to me, and I was like, can you please focus on the road that is in front of you? She just wasn't bothered. So anyway, we got to immigration, I got my stuff done. It was pretty smooth, in and out, and she's like, okay, I'll drive you back to wherever you're going. Just tell me where you're going. Okay, just drop me off at this Starbucks that was not that far from immigration. And she's like, yeah, okay, no problem. We start driving, like she pulls out of the parking lot, we start driving. She's like looking at her phone because she doesn't know where to go. Even though I'm telling her where to go, she's like not listening to me and she's checking her phone for directions. And I'm just sitting there and the road that we're going on, the light turns red. And I'm like, okay, she's gonna slow down. All of these people started crossing the street. I was like, okay, she's gonna slow down, right? I usually don't like to tell people how to drive and stuff, and I'm usually more reserved, but she was not slowing down, she was not stopping. She obviously didn't know the light was red, she obviously didn't know people were crossing in front of her car, and she was going like super fast. I screamed, like, stop, and she like looked at me like, what? And Oh my god, I've never done this in my life, but we were going so fast and people were still crossing, and I grabbed her wheel. I was like, you need to stop. I didn't know the best way to get her attention because I already screamed to stop and she didn't stop. So I grabbed her steering wheel and I was like, you need to stop. And she was like, oh my god, and she hit the brakes, and I kid you not, we stopped, and as we stopped, we hit a guy on his bicycle. Like, she was stopping and she hit a guy on a bicycle. Luckily he was okay. He wasn't injured. Like, we tapped him and he kind of fell off his bike, but he was like okay, and he was a nice guy, and he was like, it's no problem, just have a nice day, just be careful, and like he went on his way. And my boss was like laughing, like, oh, that was a close one. Oh, what? Like, she just like brushed it off like nothing. Okay, I'm never driving with you again, ever, 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 ever. Honestly, I think she quickly forgot about what happened because she was chatting and still checking her phone, and I was like, just let me out here, please, just let me out here. She's still a little bit crazy. The next boss that I'm gonna talk to you about, she was a different kind of crazy. She was kind of kooky, but also crazy. So I worked at her school, and it was like her school was in her house, and I was just there like part-time because the lessons paid really well, and I only had to be there like a few hours a week or something like that. She would buy all these like antique furniture, antique rugs, and she would also spend all her money on that and then not have enough money to pay me or like other teachers' salaries, and she'd always be like, oh, can you wait like a few more weeks? If you ever work for somebody who says, I can't pay you now, but I'll pay you in a few weeks, do not work for them. Do not. Like, just end it there because it's awful. But yeah, maybe I'll make a story time about that a different time. But she was just kooky in general, and in Japan they say read the air, and she didn't really know how to read the air. She would just do strange things that would make the students uncomfortable. She bought like those yoga exercise balls, and okay, so I have to explain. This was a pronunciation school. For some reason she thinks people breathe heavily when they speak English, and that's how we have our like loud voices. She bought all of these like yoga exercise balls, and she would make the students sit on them during the lesson and bounce up and down when they spoke English. She tried to make me do it, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And the students, like, they were paying so much money, and I felt really bad for them. I was like, why are you still here? One other thing about her was that she had this cat. I love animals. I love cats. Back home, I had a bunch of cats, a bunch of dogs, birds, everything. I'm a big animal lover. Okay, so the school was in her house, right? So she would have this cat, and she would never put the cat in like one room. The cat was basically free to go wherever it wanted, and when she had a lesson, she always did pair teaching, so it would be like me or another teacher and her and the student. And so we were never allowed to teach alone for some reason. Just suddenly the cat would jump up on the table, and the student would be like, oh my gosh, there's a cat on the table. And she would just be like, yeah, that means the cat likes you or whatever. She would give like tea and snacks during the lesson. The cat would like try to eat the snacks, and yeah, it was just like uncomfortable because like nobody could like get the cat off the table, and the cat would like lie on the textbooks and get fur everywhere. And like I'm fine, but I don't think a student who's paying money for a lesson wants like somebody's cat like sleeping on their textbook or whatever. My boyfriend is allergic to cats, and every day I would come home and I'd have cat fur everywhere because of her cat. Anyway, her cat was very old, and while I was working there, it eventually passed away. She sent me a message in the middle of the night saying that the cat passed away and to please pray for the cat. And I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, of course, I'm so sorry. I hope you're okay. And because she lived alone, she was divorced and she lived alone. She had no kids. But she was also part of this like kind of weird religion, I think. I'm not sure what the religion was, but she also tried to like get her students to join her religion. I don't know. But she sent me the message, and then I didn't see her. I didn't have to work, so I didn't see her for a few days. When I finally went in, she was like, the cat passed away. I'd like for you to say a few words for the cat. And I was like, yeah, your cat was such a good cat and very cute and lovable. And she was like, no, come upstairs. And I was like, okay. And I went upstairs and she opened up this spare bedroom and there was this whole shrine for her cat. This is like a whole room dedicated to her cat. She had like music playing and her dead cat was in the middle of the room covered by a white sheet. She sent me an email a few days ago saying the cat died, so it's been just sitting there. I have a very weak stomach. I don't like blood and guts, and I don't like dead things either. I'm like really kind of sensitive to that kind of stuff. She had me kneel in front of her cat, and then she made me repeat some words that like didn't make, like I don't know what they meant. It wasn't English, it wasn't Japanese, I don't know what it was. And then she like lifted the white sheet from the cat and she was like, can you please pet the cat? I don't get paid enough for this. I pretended to pet it, like I didn't actually touch it. I was like, okay, yeah, okay. I gotta go. She was just really kooky like that, if kooky is the right word, I don't know. So she was very, very forgetful, and I just remember coming to work one day and there was police and fire trucks everywhere, and I was like, oh my god, is she okay? I went into her house and she was just standing there and I was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Because firefighters in our house and stuff like that. And I was like, is everything okay? And she was like, yeah, last night she wanted to like cook something and she forgot that she turned the stove on and she went to bed, and this stove, like this is a gas stove, this gas stove was on all night, and I think it's like CO2 alarm or something, and the smoke alarm went off, and all of these firefighters and police showed up and woke her up because she was asleep, and thank God like she was okay. But she didn't even realize her kitchen was downstairs and her bedroom was upstairs, so luckily she didn't inhale a bunch of like CO2 or whatever, and luckily her house didn't burn down. That was just kind of the person she is. I'm glad she's still alive. I'm glad she's doing well. Those are probably the two strangest bosses that I've ever had. So yeah, those are just some of my weird boss experiences in Japan. Even though they were weird, the actual jobs weren't that bad. But just looking back on everything that I've gone through with work here, I'm really, really grateful that I'm independent and I don't need anyone anymore. But don't let my stories put you off from working in Japan, because I think basically I just have bad luck, and you shouldn't worry about it. I'm sure these things won't happen to you, but if they have, please feel free to comment it down below, because I want to hear your stories too. And I think I will try to make a story of my worst job experience in Japan in the near future, soon. If you like this storytime video, I will leave a link in the description to a playlist of all my other story times. So if you're interested in those, click on that. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! The cat, no, 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 no.